Everyone has a good story to tell, and you know it is a good story when the person leans in and says, "See, what had happened was," and then tells the story.
This podcast provides those opportunities to tell those types of stories in education. The stories will be from the good, the bad, and everything in between. We wanted to do this podcast to showcase stories in education and to give flowers to educators who deserve recognition for their excellence.
Our guests will feature parents, students, teachers, administrators, and just about anyone who is involved in education. These stories will inspire you, challenge you, and help you to reflect on your practice of education, whether it be from the inside of the classroom or outside.
If you have a good story to tell, we'd love to hear it. Email us at contact@andredowty.org. We'd love to have you or your story on a future episode. See What Had Happened starts now.
Welcome to See What Had Happened podcast. This is the podcast where we share the stories from the good, the bad, and everything in between inside of education. We're your co-hosts, Danielle and Andre Daughty, and if you notice, my tag team partner, the lover of my life, my best friend, she's not with us today, but that's all good. We're still going to have a cool, dope conversation today. If you've been here and this is your very first episode, we'd like to say welcome. Shout out to you for joining in on the fun today. If you have been rocking with us since season 1, man, shout out to you as well. You part of the family. What's up, family? We're on all podcasting platforms, so whatever one that you tickle your fancy in, we're right there with you. We're also on YouTube if you prefer to watch the visual of it versus listening while you're driving or while you're doing your chores or your work. Either or, we're right there as well. Just wherever you watch, please make sure you click that like button. Please make sure you subscribe and even share it out. And the reason why, those algorithms. Those algorithms really do matter, so we really appreciate you liking, sharing, subscribing, and all of those things today. Here's the dope thing. Today we have a good friend of the family, a good friend of the podcast. She's deeper than a friend to me. She's like a sister. Today we have Charity Parsons. Charity is the founder and CEO of I Do School. Let me tell you a little bit about Charity. Charity helps the schools decolonize curriculum, and she debunks those myths in our educational system. She is the CEO of I Do School, and I Do School offers facilitation tips and tricks to help the teachers and the principals meet like those challenging state and academic standards. As well as Charity, she designs the curriculum that teaches to the whole student, whether it be through PBL, which is project-based learning, or whether it be through workshops, whether it be through speaking, webinars, or even that administrative development. Charity, she's focusing on the students. It's all about the students, and I love that, and it shows in everything that she does here. Please welcome to the show, Charity Parsons. Charity, how you doing?
I'm doing swell. It's nice to be here. Thank you for such a kind and glorious introduction. I was like, oh my gosh, am I doing too much?
Oh no, you are doing more than enough. We really appreciate you hanging out with us here on this podcast. What did I leave out about Charity? What other things is Charity really good in? Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Charity, well, first of all, it's like I was listening to that and I was like, oh my gosh, what else? I love Kanye West. Boom. And I say that because Kanye had this whole listen to the kids, bro spiel about a decade ago. And that has literally been my motivating mantra. It's like, listen to the kids, bro. And so just making sure that everything from every conversation with every administrator, teacher, parent, that we're keeping the students at the center of the decisions. Like that's the thing.
That is. And the cool thing about this, for those who may not know, Charity, HBCU lifer as well. Charity, which HBCU you right there by?
Southern University and College.
Yeah, we just want to make sure folks know about it. Yeah, we HBCU life up in here. We had a special guest, Dara, on a while back, and she was repping at Dell State and was like, absolutely, go ahead and represent. That's what we do here, that HBCU life indeed. Okay, Charity, so set up this story for us. Since this show is, see what had happened, let's set this up. Is this you a teacher? Is this you as a student? Is this you as an administrator? Set up the story you're about to share with us.
This is me as a very rookie educator,
Ooh.
a very naive and overly confident and self-assured educator.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Let's dive in. So, since this show is called See What Had Happened, what had happened?
See, what had happened
Uh
was
huh.
I was teaching at Booker T. Washington High School, which is right around the corner from my home in Shreveport, where I grew up. And so I was just in, speaking of HBCUs, I was in Black educator heaven. I was teaching all Black students. We were all Black staff, rich history, neighborhood school, Black families. It was just, it was a dream. It was a mecca for Black education for me as a teacher. And really just, when I say overly naive, what had happened was I had to leave that school to go to grad school and get another job and things of the sort. And so in my mind, I told myself, I'm never going to teach that passionately ever again unless it's a room full of Black students
Mm-hmm.
or students of color, right? And so, the universe has a funny way of hearing us say, oh, that's what you think, huh?
Oh,
Okay,
really?
bet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the universe said, hold my beer, hold my beer. And so I took a job here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, because Booker T. Washington was in Shreveport, my hometown, North Louisiana. And so I come down to Baton Rouge for grad school and I picked up a job, same grade level, same content, geometry. That's my thing, that's my jam. And the universe made it such that I had a room full of Cal's, Malik's, Charlene's, Hamira's, Vadehi's, Sennett's, like everybody but a room full of Black students.
Mm.
And it tested my fortitude as an educator because, like I said, I was very naive, very fresh in the game, and was like, I'm not going to be as passionate with another group of students. And it was lies, all lies. What had happened was that my heart got even more entrenched in the students' lives.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing the things that I learned from them, the conversations we had and are still having because I keep up with them on social media. And it's just, yeah, that's what had happened.
What I
I
love
thought,
about that, cause like that's what we say. Hey, it's the culture. It's us. We can teach us. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, black kids, black kids, black kids. But then you realize all the kids want to learn the same way.
yeah.
All the kids want to do like their thing. And even though there is a specific type of culture, like it's one thing for me as students seeing a person who looks just like me, has the same thickness of hair like me, has the same style, swag, culture. I do get that. There's some value in that. But like you said, being in a room full of everybody but of me, but now
Mhm.
they can learn from your culture and you can learn from their culture. Oh, that is so dope. And check this out. You still remember their names.
I
Ah,
Yes, like right before, just kind of thinking about what did I want to share here with you all, I was writing their names down and I'm going and finding them on LinkedIn and they're doing big things and just, it's just really beautiful. And what that did to my career was really made me understand that culturally responsive is not a black and white, or
mm,
it's responding to the people in the room.
yeah,
And that was so pivotal. It just changed everything. Like, hands down, it changed the way I approached every conversation. It really fine-tuned my emphasis on student experiences. And you can't design a great experience for some students if you don't know who they are.
hmm,
And so it really made me step up my game, come down off of a couple of soapboxes, but still remember that there are issues like racism is real and, sexism is real. And so, like, really understanding a more universal and intersectional approach to culturally responsive education.
yeah. And I love how you opened up the box of culturally responsive teaching and learning. That education matters. I think back to a time when I remember seeing students asking me about myself. And at first it was just one way facing forward. Tell me about the Black experience. And I'm like, okay, growing up, blah, blah, blah. But I looked around the room and realized I was not the only race. So it's not just about me. Jesus, tell me about your culture. Tell me what you know. And so now we're all leaning in, listening to Jesus and Brandy share some of their traditions, some of their norms, some of their values, and we're all learning together. And having that melting pot, having that mixture of all of the different races or ethnicities or genders or non-gender, just having all of the different type of people in the room versus one type of person in the room, it makes a big difference. What are some things that you do even now to help with that culturally responsive education?
Yeah. So I am crafting curricula and programs for organizations dedicated to training teachers in culturally responsive teaching. I am working with schools and partners, and then who are focusing on redesigning and reconsidering how they manage curricula.
Mm.
So thinking about what does culturally responsive curriculum management look like? So I'm an instructional coach, and my job is to make sure that standards and scopes and sequences are being adhered to. What is my role in making sure that that's culturally responsive, not only to the students we're serving, but to the teachers we're serving?
Do you remember how sharing your story or hearing other stories from your students, how that changed you going forward as a teacher? Because remember, you said you were a novice going into this. How did that change you moving forward?
Oh, it totally changed me because I had to check my assumptions
Mm.
and regulate them with facts and knowledge about my students. Like, they talk about this ladder of inference where something happens and you assume an intent, and we can just run up the ladder and tell ourselves a story. And so instead of creating a story in my head, I intentionally in a geometry classroom took the time to get to know my students. Like, who are your parents? Asking questions like, how does your family prepare rice? Putting ingredients up on the screen and saying, which would you choose? Bonding around cultural pieces, not just at the surface, but getting to know them in more deeper levels, and letting that be the story. Let them tell their story.
Mm.
Yeah. And in that way, I think that gave us opportunity to decolonize the curricula, because then you can decenter this white male centering of knowledge and expand it to the ways of knowing and the things that your students' cultures know and how they know. Maybe that means it becomes more oral and verbal in a geometry classroom than it is so much about the written language. And so that's how that really flipped the switch for me.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Some of the best educators in the world are people you've never heard of. They may not be on TV or get the National Teacher of the Year awards, but we want to give those teachers their flowers today. We know the sacrifice and the heavy lifting these educators go through daily. With that said, we present Sprout Outs.
All right, Charity, who would you like to sprout out this episode?
I would love to sprout out Miss Patricia Brazil, my elementary school music teacher, because she was one of the first teachers who made me want to be a teacher. Because of the way she cared for us, the way that she made us know the history of us as Black people. I remember her teaching us the Negro National Anthem. And it was like you looked forward to fifth grade because you knew there was a recital, because she taught us everything. We were playing Simon and Garfunkel on xylophones, So Patricia Brazil for being that educator in my life and inspiring my entire career.
We believe when one wins, we all win. And Charity, we want to help you win. Go ahead and shout out where we can find you and follow your journey, or I Do School and More.
You can follow I Do School at idoschool.com. Go there, sign up for our quarterly gazettes. The next one is coming out next week, full of resources, ideas, things to think about and ponder. And then you can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all things at I Do School. So IDOSCHOOL, because we really do school.
I love it. I wonder why did you pick I Do School, but that is a dope
I do school. People be like, "What do you do?" I do school.
I do school.
Like, you want me to write
up.
a grant? You want me to help you find
Right.
buildings?
I do school. Well, we've reached the end of another episode of See What Had Happened. Once again, please make sure to go on all of the podcasting sites and YouTube. Find us there. Watch some of the previous episodes as well. We really appreciate Charity hanging out with us today and sharing her story. This concludes another episode of See What Had Happened. We'll see you next time, friends.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. You can find out more at teachbetter.com/podcast.